What's going on YouTube? Listen up, young elder gang. This is Ted Strokes, the billionaire at you with another banger. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video, fam. I hope this video get at least 100,000 likes. In the following video, you will find history, definitions, scripture, information, and best of all, what we Americans have been deprived of from the beginning, the truth. Keep in mind, this content used in this video is intended for educational and informational purposes only. We will give you the total truth as we best understand it today. Be sure to hit that like button, young elder gang. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Hit that bell and don't forget to check back with us every day for new content. Alright, let's get started. Money, that almighty dollar. Almighty dollar refers to money as a source of power or a god. It's often used to satirize a person's obsession with material wealth or capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system where the means of production are privately owned and operated for profit. Money is any item or verifiable record that is generally accepted as payment for goods and services and repayment of debts, such as taxes, in a particular country or social economic context. There are many terms used for money such as bread, bacon, bank, bankroll, Benjamins, bucks, scratch, cabbage, C-notes, cake, cheddar, cheese, chips, chili, cream, dead presidents, dollars, cash, dough, duckies, fetty, franklins, greenbacks, guap, and there are many more. There are some people that would do anything to make them some money. Some people think money is everything and can solve all your problems in this cold world. A G is short for grand. This refers to $1,000. The mob coined the term. If cigarettes and mackerel can be used as money, then just what is money? Well, in this video, we will give you the full truth on what money really is today. Money is anything that serves as a medium of exchange, a unit of account, and a store of value. Weaponry, food, natural resources, cotton, oil, gold, silver, and etc. have been considered as money at some point in history. Money is a force that shapes destinies and fuels ambitions. Money dictates our daily choices, from food to transportation. It's the foundation of our societies and a catalyst for innovation and inequality. If people were to begin accepting basketballs as payment for most goods and services, basketballs would be money. We will learn in this video that changes in the way people use money have created new types of money and changed the way money is measured. Money is not everything, but money is something very important. Beyond the basic needs, money helps us achieve our life's goals and supports the things we care about most deeply: family, education, healthcare, charity, adventure, and fun. Some say that the love of money is the root of all evil, or the lack of money is the root of all evil. It's one of the most commonly quoted verses in the Bible. Money really has a good side, bad side, and a neutral, which is a middle ground. None of us really act like money is a bad thing. None of us even act like the love of money is a bad thing. Most Americans work 40+ hours a week just to make money. If that isn't love, what is it? Love is life, and you spend most your life working for money. Those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. If it's only money these leaders are after, they'll self-destruct in no time. Lust for money brings trouble and nothing but trouble. Going down that path, some lose their footing in the faith completely and live to regret it bitterly ever after. For a man may have money and make a good use of it, not overvaluing it, but bestowing it upon the poor. It is the unequal distribution of money that has created this rift between the rich and the poor. In fact, money, which is the root cause of all the evils, be it the differences between families for the matter of wealth or the numerous crimes committed every single day. People are trapped in the third dimension and are material. This is also known as materialism, which brings in its wake tension and unhappiness. Evil takes birth when people are obsessed with money and compare everything in terms of money. Desire to earn money is not the root of all evil. Everybody needs money to fulfill their needs. Money is another name for Kingu, who was a moon god. Mon as in Monday, which really means moon day. To some people, money is their god. Matthew chapter 19, verse 24. And again I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. Greed is an intense desire to accumulate large amounts of something, such as food or money, especially if you try to acquire more than you need or more than your fair share. An example of greed is when you are obsessed with getting more and more money. Desire is a strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. Wishes, wants, crave, covet mean to have a longing for. Desire stresses the strength of feeling and often implies strong intention or aim. Desires to start a new life wish sometimes implies a general or transient longing, especially for the unattainable. Women sell their body for money. They are called prostitutes, a person, in particular a woman, who engages in sexual activity for payment. People rob banks, people steal, people lie, and people kill, all because of money. The problem arises when our wants increase. Thus, the want of money increases. People start to crave more of it and are never satisfied. This gives birth to greed. Desires should not be confused to be the root cause of greed. Greed is only one side of desires. To be without desires is to be dull and inactive. Only when our desires are based on selfish motives we call it greed. Human beings should only have that much money which fulfills their needs. When you want much more than your needs, you want more money, and this want leads to greediness. Due to this, you would want everything that you can lay your hands on. Love for money makes people selfish and proud. They tend to look down on others who have less money than us. A man then becomes shameless. He will stop at nothing to achieve his goals and fulfill his desires. People committing crimes for the desire to have more money affects everyone from world leaders to regular people. A desire for money is not greed. Excess of money can also be used for noble causes, like donating millions or billions of dollars to foundation to help feed children with no parents, and the poor and homeless. People that do this don't fall in the category of people who love money. They are guided by noble thoughts, whereas greed for money gives wings to a man's materialistic ambitions. Money is commonly referred to as currency, as in currency. Currency is a medium of exchange for A goods with B services. In short, it's money, in the form of paper or coins, usually issued by a government and generally accepted at its face value as a method of payment. Really, currency is currency, which is energy, which is electric. Electricity is a form of energy that makes heat and light. Electricity may also be referred to as electrical energy. The root word of currency is current. Current is an electric current is a stream of charged particles such as electrons or ions moving through an electrical conductor or space. It is measured as the net rate of flow of electric charge through a surface or into a control volume. Notice the word cure and rent in the word as well. Then you have water currents, which is the main energy on the planet. Your planet is made up of 78% water. Water or oceanic currents describe the movement of water from one location to another. The water is controlled by the moon. Now this ties back in with what I said about money dealing with the moon. The moon controls the water on your planet. Also, the moon controls the water in a woman's body, which is one of the reasons most women love money. The word currency itself holds a clue to its deeper nature. Embedded within it is the word current, a term commonly associated with the flow of electricity. Money, like electricity, is a form of energy. It drives activity, fuels growth, and shapes the world around us. Just as electricity powers our homes, money energizes our financial lives. It's the lifeblood of transactions and the catalyst for investment. When money flows freely, economies thrive, and individuals feel financially well. Disrupted money flow can lead to economic downturns and financial hardship. Abundance brings ease and opportunities, while scarcity limits options. Understanding money's flow empowers us to manage finances with intention. Conductors allow electricity to flow freely, while insulators resist this flow. This principle applies to money in our lives. Certain mindsets and behaviors act as conductors of wealth, attracting abundance. Limiting beliefs and fear can act as insulators, blocking the flow of money. An abundance mindset is a powerful conductor of wealth. Believing in limitless opportunities opens us to prosperity. Generosity creates a positive flow, attracting more abundance. Recognizing our interconnectedness enhances the flow of wealth. Cultivating positive patterns ensures the smooth flow of money in our lives. Now, let's get into more truth about money. You'll be able to recognize the commercial program and learn to operate within its system where there is no money, just commercial paper. Keep in mind, a quasi-governmental corporate takeover was engineered to take control of the 50 states, the banking system, and the coining and printing of money. A civil war, a bankruptcy, and the confiscation of the wealth of the nation were sponsored in order to create a context, read emergency, for the enslavement of the formerly sovereign people of the 50 formerly sovereign states under color of law. Within this fictional world of make-believe, the masses are subjected to playing a gigantic monopoly game where there is no real money and the banker usually wins. Keep in mind, the house always win. What you will come to understand, learn, and know is that the United States, the federal corporation, went bankrupt in 1933, and as a result of further acts, removed the substance backing our nation's money, replacing it with bankruptcy script of a private corporation called the Federal Reserve Bank. Sometime in the 1960s, the Uniform Commercial Code, UCC, was adopted by most all states. The UCC is the federal common law of negotiable instruments and governs all transactions because there is no lawful money, substance backing the money being gold and silver. Therefore, you have not paid your bills nor paid for anything pursuant to the law of payment since 1933. All you have ever done is discharge the debt until a future time, but you have not obtained title. The government, because of going bankrupt, had to finance its operation to survive, and it needed to do so because it can only tax what it creates. It created artificial entities, ens legis, being a corporation or trust corporation, so that it could tax it, and in doing so, sends you the tax bill or other presentments for fines, fees, and taxes. In operating this scheme against you, you think the presentment is in your name. The government has divested you of your rights, titles, interest, property, and wealth by and through an undisclosed and non-disclosed commercial program to rape, pillage, and plunder the American. The people, due to the bankruptcy and commercial law in place that allows the people, as the sovereign power, in their secured party creditor capacity, to discharge all the fines, fees, taxes, judgments, and debts, take control of all the property. Because there is no other way today to pay the debts, as there is no lawful money, your status was changed to debtor-slave on the plantation for the financial benefit of corporate government. So you see, they owe us. However, due to their unauthorized actions and corruptions, they have removed what was constitutionally established as real money, backed by something of value, that is, gold and silver, when there is nothing in reality to pay with. And since a total different commercial system has been put into effect to allow what has been called this commerce game to go on and on and on, it is only a matter of importance to fully understand it and utilize it, in and for your commercial transactions and in regard to what your so-called government demands. Example, in the nature of taxes. Federal Reserve notes the new fiat money or money by decree. Fiat currency is a government-issued currency that is not backed by a physical commodity like gold or silver. Instead, its value comes from the government's authority and the public's trust in it. The government designates fiat currency as legal tender and authorizes it through regulation. The value of fiat currency is based on the public's trust in the government that issued it and the stability of the economy. The value of fiat currency is also affected by supply and demand. Central banks can use fiat currency to manage the money supply and implement monetary policy. The US dollar, the euro, and the Japanese yen are all examples of fiat currency. Fiat currency has been the standard for major currencies since the end of the Bretton Woods system in 1971. However, fiat currency is not without limitations. For example, if a government prints too much money, it can lead to inflation and cause the value of the currency to rapidly decrease. By partaking of the industrial products, there is a tax that must be collected in order to keep record and track of all the industrial energy usage, and all common stock public funds have a public liability, as these funds represent the energy. Money is the evidence of transfer of energy that must be regulated. We volunteer to pay the taxes just by our use of industrial goods and services, which is why it is a voluntary tax system. If you do not use any of the industrial goods, then there are no taxes. In order to use the industrial goods and services without the requirement of taxes, we must accept the charges and direct them back to the government, all 100%, and thereby we lend our tax exemption priority to the government to discharge the public liability. This exchange gives us an employer status, or inalienable rights, the preferred stock, which then allows us to enjoy all the goods and services at our will. This then shows that the man created was the industrial bond, which was created by the contract. The industrial bond is the image of industrial benefits for society, but when the deception took place, the system's operators, attorneys, deceived the financial institutions into believing that the debt, borrowed funds, municipal bonds, were what they needed, and thereby the debt money individuals were able to indebt all of society into believing the lie and thereby destroyed the beneficial public government. It no longer had the debt-free industrial bonds, man-men, to operate for all of society's benefit. Then, the industrial bonds were, or are now based upon, debt funds or municipal bonds, and therefore they are consuming all the energy, funds, needed to keep our society operating. In Genesis 6, which is about the energy that was taken from the public government, it was to hold it and use it to run the industrial society. The flood of public funds has again covered the earth, and it is time to charge back the debt, energy money, by use of the public policy HJR-192. The ARC is the private government treasury, Federal Reserve, that will act as the mediator to republic the public debt funds by private assignment or acceptance. Thereby, once again, the public government will hold the energy, money, for the industrial uses. House Joint Resolution 192 on June 5, 1933. This is a key point when you are talking money in the USA. Resolved by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that a. Every provision contained in or made with respect to any obligation which purports to give the obligé a right to require payment in gold or a particular kind of coin or currency, or in an amount in money of the United States measured thereby, is declared to be against public policy, and no such provision shall be contained in or made with respect to any obligation hereafter incurred. Every obligation heretofore or hereafter incurred, whether or not any such provisions is contained therein or made with respect thereto, shall be discharged upon payment, dollar for dollar, in any such coin or currency which at the time of payment is legal tender for public and private debts. A debt is not paid by the giving of a note. Noland Co. v. Maryland Casualty Company. A note is only a promise to pay and not payment. Fidelity Savings State Bank v. Grimes, 131p.2 and 894. Checks aren't money in themselves. I bet you thought from the Federal Reserve Board of NP7. Checks are simply order forms instructing banks and other depository institutions such as savings banks and credit unions to move transaction balances, which are money. The money, Federal Reserve notes, will be worth 100 cents on the dollar because it is backed by the credit of the nation. It will represent a mortgage on all the homes and other property of all the people in the nation. The money so issued will not have 1 penny of gold coverage behind it because it is really not needed. The giving of a Federal Reserve note does not constitute payment. See Eckart v. Commissioners CCA, 42 FD 2D 158. The use of a Federal Reserve note is only a promise to pay. See Fidelity Savings v. Grimes, 131p 2D 894. Legal tender, Federal Reserve. Notes are not good and lawful money of the United States. See Raines v. State, 226 SW 189. Federal Reserve notes are valueless. See IRS Code Sectional .1001-1, 4657, CCH Maxim in Law. The money of the sovereign is his credit. He is the wealth for which no substance on earth can establish a value for. However, most people do not realize that the primary reason for the expatriation and ensuing war was not taxation without representation, but the forced payment of taxes to the king in gold, not paper money. The people in the colonies of North America were flourishing by using their own fiat money system based only on their production, not a gold-based system that could be manipulated by the king. The king could not control the fiat money system, and therefore passed a law requiring the subjects of the crown to pay taxes in gold only. First, we must take a look at how public money affects or what it does to an individual. Money is the evidence of the transfer of energy and commerce, after the fact. So the commercial cause for the transfer has taken place before the actual event has happened. In other words, the public offer was made first, then the actual acceptance or need was exchanged. Because of this being the case, the individual who made the public offering thereby carried the public energy, negative, within themselves, speculation upon and acceptance, which may cause other problems that can be medical, legal, or personal in nature. This suggests that the more available the public funds are for our use, the more likely we are to have other problems in our lives. You ever heard the saying, the more money, the more problems? We must remember that the true creation of money is by our endorsement, signature. Money created in any other method is by the acceptance of someone else's debt. Such a debt carries with it a negative charge, and this negative charge must be decayed in our bodies, which causes us to age, etc. The negative side is the public liability. It can only be discharged by our acceptance and charging back, or republic/revenue, the public money back to the public for the public to use. If this is done, there is no longer a public charge as before. It states in the scriptures to seek ye first the kingdom, which is to find your own inheritance that was created at your birth, and thereby all other needs shall be taken care of. There is a maxim of law that says, the money of the sovereign is his credit. He is the wealth for which no substance on earth can establish a value for. What is the function of money? Money is a liquid asset used in the settlement of transactions. It functions based on the general acceptance of its value within a governmental economy and internationally through foreign exchange. The current value of monetary currency is not necessarily derived from the materials used to produce the note or coin. Instead, value is derived from the willingness to agree to a displayed value and rely on it for use in future transactions. What is liquid asset? A liquid, water asset is a reference to cash on hand or an asset that can be readily converted to cash. An asset that can readily be converted into cash is similar to cash itself because the asset can be sold with little impact on its value. Remember, I told you water is a current and money is a current as well, and that the moon control the water. Gold, guns, diamonds, and silver are liquid, meaning they are easily exchanged, traded, bartered with, or sold for non-monetary government-issued currencies. It's all about guns and butters. Butter represents non-security goods that increase social welfare such as schools, hospitals, parks, and roads. Guns refer to security goods such as personnel, both troops and civilian support staff, as well as military equipment like weapons, ships, or tanks. Because these two types of goods represent a trade-off, a country cannot increase one without negatively impacting the other. States often attempt to share the burden of defense through alliances. This allows a state to reduce its own production of guns and shift resources towards social goods. Guns and butter generally refers to the dynamics involved in a federal government's allocations to defense versus social programs when deciding on a budget. Both areas can be critically important to a nation's economy. Depending on the global security environment, the defense may take priority over social, specifically in times of war. Times of war can have a substantial effect on a country's economy and its societal progression. In macroeconomics, the guns versus butter model is an example of a simple production, possibility frontier. It demonstrates the relationship between a nation's investment in defense and civilian goods. The guns or butter model is used generally as a simplification of national spending as a part of GDP. Commodity money. Commodity money consists of objects that have value in and of themselves, intrinsic value, as well as their value in buying goods. Commodity money is money whose value comes from a commodity of which it is made. Examples of commodities that have been used as media of exchange include humans, animals, water, foods, orange juice, gold, silver, copper, salt, peppercorns, tea, decorated belts, shells, alcohol, cigarettes, silk, candy, nails, cocoa beans, cowries, and barley. Most commodities are raw materials, basic resources, agricultural or mining products such as iron ore, sugar, or grains like rice and wheat. Commodities can also be mass-produced, unspecialized products such as chemicals and computer memory. A raw material, also known as a feedstock, unprocessed material, or primary commodity, is a basic material that is used to produce goods, finished products, energy, or intermediate materials that are feedstock for future finished products. As feedstock, the term connotes these materials are bottleneck assets and are required to produce other products. The term raw material denotes materials in unprocessed or minimally processed states. For example, raw latex, crude oil, cotton, coal, raw biomass, iron ore, air, logs, water, or any product of agriculture, forestry, fishing, or mineral in its natural form or which has undergone the transformation required to prepare it for international marketing in substantial volumes. The term secondary raw material denotes waste material which has been recycled and injected back into use as productive material. Several types of commodity money were sometimes used together with fixed relative values in various commodity valuation or price system economies. Commodity money is to be distinguished from representative money, which is a certificate or token which can be exchanged for the underlying commodity, but only by a formal process. A key feature of commodity money is that the value is directly perceived by its users, who recognize the utility or beauty of the tokens as goods in themselves. Since payment by commodity generally provides a useful good, Commodity money is similar to barter, but is distinguishable from it in having a single recognized unit of exchange. People left their surplus clothing, toilet requisites, and food there until they were sold at a fixed price in cigarettes. In prison, the commodity system is how prisoners do business. Pennies and quarters are really worth more than a paper dollar, even more than a $100 bill. Save your change, it will be worth more than the paper money, which is why they are trying to get rid of the coins. Representative money. Representative money has value because the holder can exchange it for something else of value. An IOU can be a receipt for something of value in the present that one person holds for another. Its specific return is promised in the future. Representative money is any medium of exchange, often printed on paper, that represents something of value, but has little or no value of its own, intrinsic value. In this sense, it may be called commodity-backed money. Any type of money that has face value greater than its value as material substance. Paper certificates like college degrees, high school diploma, birth certificate, and etc. can be representative money when the paper certificates can be exchanged for the valuable asset, such as gold. Another example of representative money was tobacco notes issued by Virginia and North Carolina in 1715. There are three main types of certificates: domain validated, DV, organization validated, OV, and extended validation, EV. A domain validated certificate, DV, is an X. 509 public key certificate typically used for transport layer security, TLS, where the domain name of the applicant is validated by proving some control over a DNS domain. Organization validation, OV. SSL certificates provide an extra level of online trust by authenticating the business identity and legitimacy. Organizations must prove it owns the domain name it wishes to secure and confirm that it is a legally registered business. An extended validation certificate, EV, is a certificate conforming to X. 509 that proves the legal entity of the owner and is signed by a certificate authority key that can issue EV certificates. Fiat money has value because the government decreed that is an acceptable means to pay debts. U.S. currency is fiat money. Fiat money is not real money, it's just paper. Commodity money is real money. Fiat is debt. A debt is not paid by giving of note. Like we already said, the giving of Federal Reserve notes does not constitute payment. The use of a Federal Reserve note is only a promise to pay. Legal tender as Federal Reserve notes are not good and lawful money of the United States. The Federal Reserve notes will represent a mortgage, which means dead pledge, on all the homes and other property of all the people in the nation. The money so issued will not have 1 penny of gold coverage behind it, because it is really not needed. Federal Reserve note are valueless. Checks aren't money in themselves. The checks are simply order forms instructing banks and other depository institutions, such as saving bank and credit unions, to move transaction balances, which are fiat money. Banks don't keep cash in checking accounts and don't transfer currency or coin when acting on a check's instructions. So, all these so-called rich rappers are really still broke. One reason is they still call themselves black, which is a business label. Even if they bought planes, houses, and land, they still own nothing. You can't own nothing under the label black people or as an artificial person because you still are a ward of the United States Corporation, which is a business. Currencies, which is fiat, are not real money. If you ask the average guy on the street to define money, 99 out of 100 will likely answer paper money, the US dollar, or a similar response. Technically, that's an incorrect answer. Paper money and base metal coinage are just government-issued currencies, a form of debt. Neither have government-issued fiat currencies. Throughout history, all fiat currencies have failed or likely will fail again. A dime is money and serves all three functions of money. It is, of course, perfectly liquid. On the other hand, gold, and to a lesser extent silver, fit the historical definition of money and have for thousands of years. The currency, paper money and coins, used in the United States today is fiat money. It has no value other than its use as money. You will notice that statement printed on each bill. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Fiat money, like any check or note of debt, is without use value as a physical commodity. Sometimes a market-determined money is officially recognized as legal money by a government. Under some circumstances, goods that do not necessarily meet the 5 properties of optimal market-determined money outlined above can be used to fulfill the functions of money in an economy. The term fiat money or fiat currency is generally associated with a classification of money that has been authorized for use by a country's government. Typically, this involves a legal mandate to use a specific good as money, known as a legal tender law, or some kind of prohibition on the use of money, such as the use of cigarettes as a medium of exchange among prison inmates. Legal tender laws specify a certain good as legal money, which courts will recognize as a final means of payment in contracts and the legal means of settling tax bills. By default, the legal tender will typically be used as a medium of exchange by market participants within the political jurisdiction of the authority that declares it to be money. Legal tender laws do not always adopt market-determined money as legal tender. A new medium of exchange that does not serve any original non-money use as an economic good can be imposed to replace market-determined money by legal declaration. This type of legal tender can also be called fiat money. Fiat money becomes a medium of exchange through legal imposition on the market, rather than through the process of adoption by the market for easing transactions. Fiat money often does not meet the general characteristics of money and the market-determined money that it replaces. Because the fiat money tends to be less suitable for use as money, market participants may be reluctant to adopt it as money. Prohibitions, or even confiscation of market-based money are sometimes enacted as part of legal tender laws that impose fiat money on an economy. Fiat monies can lead to increased economic transaction costs, market distortions, and unintended consequences to the extent that they do not meet the characteristics that make a particular good suitable to serve as money. For example, in modern times, most countries' legal tender monies consistently lose value over time, sometimes rapidly, leading to the social costs associated with inflation. Governmental currencies fall under the category of fiat money. Internationally, the International Monetary Fund and World Bank serve as global watchdogs for the exchange of currencies between countries. Governments establish their own money system, which is monitored primarily by the central bank and treasury authorities. A governmental currency will have an intranational value and an international value. Established governmental currencies trade 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the foreign exchange market, which is the largest financial trading market worldwide. Governments can establish formal and informal trade relations to peg currency values to one another for reduced volatility. Governmental currencies may also be free-floating. Physical units of currency, cash, can circulate from hand to hand in the course of economic transactions, or by being reassigned from person to person for accounting purposes while being held on deposit at a bank or similar institution. In the second case, tokens or paper notes that substitute for and represent the deposited money are passed from person to person in daily transactions and settled later by financial institutions. Paper notes and checks are examples of these kinds of money substitutes. The use of money substitutes can increase the portability and durability of money, as well as reducing other risks. Money substitutes enhance the function of money by allowing people to simultaneously enjoy the use of their money in day-to-day transactions, while also keeping the money secure from theft or physical damage. Normally, however, banks issue a larger, often much larger, quantity of money substitutes than the amount of physical currency entrusted to them by depositors. By simultaneously issuing money substitutes corresponding to the same units of physical money to both the depositors and borrowers to whom the bank makes loans, in a process known as fractional reserve banking, banks can dramatically expand the supply of money available for transactions beyond the available supply of physical money. The new money substitutes that do not correspond to new units of physical money are called fiduciary media of exchange, since they exist solely as entries in the accounting and financial system of the banks. Though widely accepted today, the use of fiduciary media has been controversial. Some economists believe that the overissuance of a fiduciary is to blame for business cycles and economic recessions, while others welcome it as a means to allow the expansion of money supply to suit the needs of the economy. In the U.S., the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department monitor several types of money supplies for the purpose of regulating and mitigating monetary issues. The new and up-and-coming fiat money is cryptocurrencies.